level up your hunting game and join the cause. Help preserve small-town Texas hunting culture and become a more successful hunter by learning the best ways to squeeze the most out of your budget and precious time out in the field. Welcome to the Feed Bandit Podcast. Here are your resident bandits, Richard Kinchlow and Jimmy Byrne. Howdy, folks. Welcome back to the Feed Bandit Podcast. Jimmy talking to you. Richard, what's going on?
I got my flu shot today.
Yeah, why?
Well, because I don't want the influenza. Let me guess. You're anti-vaxxer?
No, not at all. I'm anti-flu.
Oh, anti-flu.
Anti-flu shot. Yeah,
okay,
I mean, if you look at it, it's completely pointless, so I'd prefer not to.
Okay, did you hear that, folks? Let's remember, when old Corn Bandito is vomiting and pooing in his pants at the same time, he's going to
be why I'm cleaning a deer.
Yeah. Oh, God, yeah.
Just like when we were grinding the meat that one time and I had bronchitis.
Oh, my God. Like, let me tell you, folks, thank God heat kills bacteria, because I'm pretty sure he's patient 0 for the contravirus. God, you were so sick. I mean, let me tell you, for those of you who don't know Jimmy, which is majority of you, the guy is he is rock solid. He will not quit. He will not say no. It's amazing. And when we were sitting there grinding meat, it's like 2 a.m. He's like, I don't feel good. I'm like, whoa, oh my God, And I figured his torso was about to fall off. So, yeah. God, that was crazy. Meat was sure good, though. Flavorful.
Oh, yeah. So long as you cooked it up fully or thoroughly, then you're fine.
That's right.
Well, this episode was really cool. It was an original. It was the first one we've done so far, right? We actually had one of our listeners reach out to us and ask us to have a conversation with him and talk about the land that he just bought and kind of give him some ideas on how to manage it for game and some cattle and whatnot. So,
absolutely, yeah.
Without further ado, why don't we just jump into that recording and hopefully pull some nuggets and pearls of wisdom out of it. And when it's over, we'll join you back up. Here
Let's
it is.
Do it. Joseph, thanks so much again for joining us today on the Feed Bandit Podcast. So kind of a unique situation here. Joseph's one of our listeners to the podcast and has actually agreed to come on and speak with us about his property. So we're just going to kind of do some bantering back and forth here. And so Joseph, correct me if I'm wrong, but your primary goal here is for some better dove hunting and some deer hunting. Is that accurate?
It is accurate. I do want to add some animals, some cattle. I'm trying to figure out if I can make 3 or 4 different enterprises work. And so after reading some emails and listening, that's what kind of enticed me to give you guys a call and to pick your brains and see what you guys thought.
Excellent, man. Well, again, we certainly appreciate it. Without divulging too much information here, Joseph, where approximately are you in the state of Texas? Like, and Joseph was kind enough to send us a Google map, which is phenomenal, by the way. And I'm seeing a lot of trees. Are these live oaks, or are these going to be cedars, or a mix of the two?
So I'm in South Texas, in the area of San Diego, so a couple hours south of San Antonio.
Okay.
And it's brush, thick brush, some trees, okay. A lot of cedar. But what we're looking at mainly on the map that I send you guys is a whole boatload of brush.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. Excellent.
Now, also, just so that you guys know, I'm a city slicker. And this is my first venture into hunting property to land like this. And so that's partly why I'm also trying to understand some things and make sure that I start out doing the right thing, or hopefully the best thing.
There you go. Well, my friend, you have come to the right place. Jimmy and I have been doing this thing for many, many, many years. And it's not, ranch management, wildlife management is not something that, it's not like playing the piano. It's something that you're just constantly evolving. It's changing. It's different. and truthfully, it really becomes a labor of love, So that's awesome. So I'm assuming you own this place. Is that accurate?
Yes, sir.
Oh, excellent. Well, wonderful. Congrats, my friend. That is absolutely beautiful. So a couple of things that I noticed right off the bat here, as far as so you're talking about adding some fence or some cattle in there. I'm assuming the cattle is that going to be in there for tax reasons or potential some sort of earning potential with calves or steers or something of that nature.
So it's a couple of things. One would be, it would be nice to do some supplementing into retirement income.
Okay.
But the other part is just the enjoyment of raising my own cattle and my own beef for my family and for friends.
Sure.
To have a good ribeye or a good steak.
There you go.
It's not going to be a big venture for my major source of income.
Right.
But I would like it to be a little bit of both. But more than anything, it's more of a personal thing that I would like to accomplish.
Sure. Absolutely. And I'll be honest, that is the right attitude to have about this. Is more of just going out there and it's funny, Jimmy and I say this all the time. We joke about, but just going out there and having fun. And with cattle, cattle are kind of like boats. According to some people, the best time they buy it is the only time they love it is when they bought it and they're selling it or something of that nature.
Or eating it.
Yeah, but having cattle there, kind of what you're talking about, as far as some light supplemental income, I think is completely doable. And truthfully, Joseph, I see that you've got this on the map here. I see you've got this cross fence going through there. That's fantastic. That's kind of one of the biggest things that I was going to point off right off the bat. If you want to run cattle, which obviously for tax reasons or for what you're looking to do is important, but not only it's important to that, but it's also important for for the land. People, ranchers having cattle. Okay, having cattle this day and age is very similar to the way buffalo were back in the day. Okay. Except for the fact the cattle are penned in, whereas the buffalo are completely free. So having cattle out there is going to definitely help expose a lot of those forbs, okay? Because obviously cattle are going to be grazers, right? And deer are going to be browsers. So they do not compete. So what's really nice about that is when you get your cattle in there and you move them from pasture to pasture. From here, it looks like it would be two pastures. If you get a nice good graze and then move your cattle out there, you're going to be opening up a lot of territory for your deer. Now, something else of interest in the area that you are in, and something that I would definitely take to heart is I think you're in some pretty decent quail territory as well. Are you familiar with bobwhite quail and whatnot?
Yes, I am. In fact, we've seen multiple coveys out here. Lots of dove, but the brush is so thick that I can only be inside the senderos that you see those senderos through there. And so, but I'm a little bit scared of cutting. But yes, they're clearing some brush. But I know it has to be done. But yeah, there is a lot of quail out there.
Excellent. Well, that, my friend, alone really makes this place that you have. I know it's incredibly special, but the fact that you've got quail and it seems like a healthy population is phenomenal. Quail are really one of the more coveted animals in the state of Texas. So that is really great. So now, I think we've kind of identified, you've got white-tailed deer, obviously. You've got quail. You probably also have some turkeys in there. And then you're wanting to run some cows in there as well. And so when it comes to, to brush management, obviously, that's a really big, important piece of this whole thing. Now looking at this, what you've got here on the map, I think you're definitely on to the right area, or the right goal rather. Now, was your intention to basically decimate everything within this little hexagon or whatever shape that is?
So inside of the the black line was, and then this is partly why I sent it to you, because what I'm curious about is if you guys think that I should stack, plow, and rake. The guy that I was going to be working with said that if more of your intention is dove hunting, then really you only need to stack and plow, and you don't need to rake it as well.
Right.
But the cattle, he said, it would be more beneficial if you did all three, stack, round, raking for the cattle area. But
Right.
I don't know. That's what I'm not 100% sure. And I wasn't sure about the area, what you guys thought, if that was too much or not enough, or am I going to leave myself enough for the feeders and for the blinds up top to be able to hunt still? So that's all kind of what I'm not 100% sure about.
Sure. No, and it's a really great thought and good questions. You know, I think on a property like this of this size, I see some natural senderos cut in there, which I love to see, and that obviously that's really good. And what you've kind of, just to throw a little wildlife term at you, if you see those senderos you've got there at kind of the bottom of the shape, you know, when you go from that thick brush to that sendero, that's called edge. And it's basically where two habitats meet, okay? And so where those two habitats meet, for example, that thick brush you have right there, that's going to be your primary cover, okay, for deer, flushing cover for quail, cover for turkey and whatnot. And then when they come to feed, 9 out of 10 times, where are they going to be? They're going to come out in those senderos, okay? So I think what you've got there is really good. Now, when you go back up, kind of cross that middle line, you know, you've definitely got a lot of brush in there that I think can be that I think you can cut some more senderos in there as well. You know, if it was, you've got a kind of a couple of choices. You know, first and foremost, I think cutting some additional senderos, maybe just to the left of that red line and to the right of that red line would be fantastic. Also, you know, maybe even where that red line kind of crosses that middle road and keeps coming down there, you might want to put one right there. And obviously what you're doing is you're creating a lot of feeding areas for the whitetail deer. Now, talking about dove specifically, if it were me, okay, what I would do is, again, going back up to the top of this shape here, you see your little tank right there. I'm assuming that's a tank you're gonna try to hold water. Is that correct?
Well, that was there before we purchased the property. Most of this land, the majority of this is pretty, according to the soil survey, is very porous, and it would not hold water by itself. I'd have to figure out something there. So
okay, what is that? Was that an attempt to make it a tank there, or do you know?
I'm not 100% sure, but it's dug out and it's a solid 10 feet deep.
Okay, all right. So that looks to me like they probably tried to make a tank there. So, which obviously is phenomenal. You know, tanks are really kind of the way. You know, the way to go, as opposed to having a solar well, which obviously costs money. Having a well costs money, you know, to pump water up to troughs and things of that nature. So let's come back to that. But as far as dove are concerned, okay, you know, dove, just by their nature, okay, you know, all animals are skittish, right? Well, dove are the same thing, okay. Dove prefer to feed, okay, in more of an open type area, okay. Moreover, they prefer to feed on plant species that they target but that has more bare ground, okay. So by virtue of the fact that you're in South Texas, you've got a lot of that already, and that, by the way, is one of the reasons why your quail population is so good. Quail, very similar to dove, they're not big animals, right? And so they have to be able to navigate that understory, especially quail. And that's why they do so well in South Texas, because you have a lot of bare ground. Okay. Whereas at Rancho Bandito, we've got a lot of prairie grasses, and that's very cumbersome for the dove. So that being said, Joseph, I would consider when you do start to do some clear cutting, And I would try to focus maybe more up towards where this little tank is, because I think we can get water in there. I would try clearing out, again, to the left or the right of that red line closer to the tank. Maybe a football field by a football field. Okay. And when I say clear, actually go in there, and of course with mesquites, if you're familiar with mesquites, mesquites you can't just cut. Okay, mesquites are going to keep coming back, and I notice what you're saying about the raking and all that kind of good stuff. With you can either treat them and then cut them and then pull them out, but I would do your best to try to, if you're going to spend some money, okay, as far as clearing out is concerned, that's where I would do it. Okay. And so from there, once you've got everything cleared out, okay, you can potentially look at planting some things. It depends on what would grow there. But by you being in there with a bulldozer or somebody else with a bulldozer, you're naturally disturbing that soil. And I think you'd be very surprised what comes up. And it's probably going to be sunflowers.
Got it.
The other thing
Richard,
that you're, yeah.
I know you're going to get to deer and stuff in a second, but yeah, if you shifted that black shape up like you're talking about, that lower half, he already has really great lanes, right? And senderos, it looks like they're already there, and they're essentially ready to go. So that's my initial thought. And tell me if you agree or disagree. Keep that the way it is instead of clearing all that out like you're talking, right? Because they're already used to that, it probably, and just kind of augment that. What do you think about that? I know you'll get to the deer part, but you see what I'm saying?
I totally agree. And Joseph, what we'll do is when we're done here, I'll actually take this picture and kind of mark in there kind of what I was thinking, and so that way you got it. But one of the benefits, in my opinion, of having a football field by football field, type, clearing area, is not only is it going to be great for dove, but remember, it's also going to be a phenomenal attractant for your deer. Okay. When you go in there and you disturb that or disturb that soil, okay, you're going to bring up a lot of weeds. Okay. Weeds, broadleaf forbs, or what deer eat. So you theoretically, Joseph, could look at, if you get it good and cleared out, you could be looking at a scenario where you could, maybe do one side of the football field, okay, theoretically, in winter wheat, okay, and you can put some cows on there for a little bit, and the deer will be all over it, okay. That's fantastic. And maybe the other side you use as a dove plot. But that's kind of my thinking when it comes to the dove area. And then looking at your senderos, I definitely don't think you should clear out that entire shape. You just, I think doing some more additional lanes in there would definitely be beneficial.
How do I hunt the quail in there if I'm stuck in the senderos? Like I see, like when I'll walk by and I'll see them, but man, they go once they're in that brush, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and that's exactly that's what they do. And again, not to be too much of a quail dork here, but that's one of the reasons why South Texas, the quail are so prolific, is because they've got everything they need. Okay, maybe water is a little bit scarce, right? But like you just nailed it. You just said the big thing right there. You said I see them on the sendero, and then they go into the brush and they're gone. They're out of there. That's flushing cover. That's what they do. A couple of things you can do. First of all, if you've got a buddy who's got a quail dog, that's definitely a way of doing it.
Okay.
Yeah, and then so a quail dog will be actually trained to go in there and point and whatnot, and you're going to get sticky. Okay, you're going to have to go into the bush after them, but they'll certainly be there. Another thing that you can do that will kind of bring them out and will hold them, I'm doing my little air quotation marks here, that will hold them in that area, is you can actually get a tailgate feeder. Okay, I don't know if you've seen those before, but it's basically a spinning feeder that you can put on the back of your truck or, a UTV. In fact, the guys we work with at SpinTech, They make a really good one. And it's actually controlled from the car, and you can put Milo or a hen scratch in there. And before you go quail hunt, you can go corn, or you can go bait up those senderos, and that'll pull those birds out of there for you.
Great. Okay. Good idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
The other thing is that, if you've got a dove plot / deer plot in that little area we were talking about, the quail and the dove and the deer are all naturally going to find it. So in a scenario like that, if you've got, some leftover sunflowers, okay, that are left over from dove season, I guarantee you get your shotgun and walk on the edge of that, and you'll blow quail out of there. They're going to find those plants to eat on, and then that's a good spot to do it.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. Awesome.
Absolutely.
Where? Okay, go ahead. You guys. I'm sure you're going to get to the deer, right?
Yep. Yeah. Absolutely. Go ahead. If you got a question, please ask.
I was just thinking. I jumped to the deer, and I'm trying to figure out where you guys think the feeders and the blinds should go.
Sure. Well, first and foremost, and I don't know the orientation of this map, but a couple of things to consider. First and foremost, even though I know this property is super thick with brush, you kind of want to avoid. First of all, you want to make sure that your feeders and blinds are at least 200 feet off of any road. Okay, so whether it's a county road or an actual small little 1-lane highway, which it looks like maybe it is over here on the left. The other thing is, obviously, you just don't want anybody getting too excited. Okay, they're out there on the, and you don't want that's just trouble you don't want. So that's the first thing to consider, in my opinion. The other thing, and perhaps the most significant, in my opinion, is going to be the wind direction. Okay, obviously being in Texas, the majority, and the same thing for us. And we're going to be well north of you. A majority of the time, the wind is always going to be coming out of the south. So with that being said, you always want to set up the blinds to where a majority of the time the wind's going to be in your face. So that is definitely something to consider. As far as your feeder and blind locations are concerned, being that you do, well, okay, first of all, looking at this yellow line, Joseph, do you have any game fences around you, or is it all standard 5-strand barbed wire fence?
It's all standard barbed wire.
Okay.
And to the north of where the top it is north. So this is north, and the very bottom is headed south to the city. The city is about 7 miles away.
Okay.
But north, it's wide open.
Perfect. Okay. Perfect. Okay, that is really good. So, the great thing about what you've got here is really, the sky's the limit. You've got no game fences, and so you're really going to be pulling in a lot of deer. Now that being said, again, even though, for example, I'm looking over here on the south side, okay, the south side looks like nothing but thick brush. Chances are there could be another hunter over there. So, you really want to try to, obviously just be careful about, you don't want to make your blinds and feeders visible. Again, that just, it makes people do stupid things. Let's put it that way.
Sure.
So that would be another thought. A lot of hunting in South Texas, as far as blinds are concerned, is really kind of taking advantage of these senderos. They really are. Looking at this map, if I'm looking at, again, that shape, I see kind of towards the bottom of that shape, I see this intersection. Okay. Quite personally, I think that's a phenomenal place for a blind. One of when I shot my first deer eons ago, I shot it at a blind that we called 4-way. Okay, and 4-way, and this was in Throckmorton, Texas, but eerily similar, probably to what your place looks like. Thick brush. And Joseph, it was so cool to sit in that blind, and you had to have your head on on the swivel, right? Because you never knew when anything was coming out. And we had one feeder down one of these senderos, and it was phenomenal. Um, and so I would look at it just picking, I would just say, okay, where do you see a majority, which lane, okay, do you see a majority of the deer? And mind you, they're gonna find it anyway. Okay, so pick something that
Right.
makes sense for the wind, the sun, things of that nature. So I would definitely do a blind and feeder combination down here.
Okay.
Scout for trails, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely
Yeah.
scout for trails, things of that nature. Okay, tell me this, Joseph. Tell me about water. I mean, obviously we don't think you have any groundwater. Okay, but do you have any cattle troughs? Are there any seasonal creeks, anything of that nature?
No, not that I'm aware of. I do have a well, though.
You do have a well. Okay.
I do have
Okay.
a well.
Okay,
And
excellent.
we've got
Okay.
down here, this is a cover. It's no longer there, but we've got a cabin. That's kind of the camp, if you notice, on the bottom left corner.
Yep.
So the well's over there and all our electrical, and we've got a cabin there. So that's like home base, if you will.
Okay. Okay.
But,
All right.
there's no creeks. There's no sitting water. When it rains, it's gone pretty quick.
Okay. Okay. All right. So that definitely explains why they were looking at doing that tank in the upper right hand corner, was probably because of that. Okay, and the reason why I was going to ask that is because, obviously water is a real premium in South Texas. So if you can find,
Right.
an area, if you had some running water, that would be a phenomenal place to, to do a blind feeder combination. Thinking as far as, yeah, go ahead.
How do you put water for deer?
Great question. So when it comes to water for deer, you've got a couple of choices. The easiest being your seasonal creeks, seeps, things of that nature. Which at Rancho Bandito we've got quite a few. Also, deer and all animals for that matter will definitely take advantage of cattle troughs. Okay. And obviously, you've probably seen pictures of those cattle troughs. They get kind of gross. So highly recommend, if you ever get one, kind of just taking decent care of it.
Sure.
The other way of doing it would definitely be kind of this tank like they've got right here. In the upper right hand corner, again, with the goal being trying to capture a lot of that rainfall, which again, South Texas, you don't get a whole lot of.
So do you
Go ahead.
want the water with? Do you want the water with the feeders?
Not necessarily, no. But you have a lot of guys that are setting, and there's a fourth way, and they're setting up these big rain catchers, which we will send you some information about tonight or tomorrow. And a lot of guys are actually setting up these big rain catching devices right next to their feeders. You can certainly do that if you want to. The only thing I would say against that is that, when it comes to water, okay, that's obviously one of the essentials of, for deer. And so, if you're going to be blasting deer at a feeder, you don't want them too afraid to come to water. Does that make sense?
I see.
So
Okay.
yeah. So maybe a thought is this. Okay, here's a thought. So let's go back down to this black hexagon thing, or or whatever the shape is again. And I know, I didn't study geography or geometry, whatever it is. And so if we're looking at that little spot where we're thinking about putting our deer blind, okay, and then down one of these senderos, you've got your feeder. Maybe down the other sendero, kind of away from the feeder, okay, maybe you put up some sort of rain catching device. Who knows?
Okay.
And so there, so that there again, what you're doing is you're kind of, you're separating the potential carnage, I guess, from where they're drinking.
What I was trying to make sure that I was what I was a little bit confused about is that we're not after a one-stop shop for the deer. the full 50 to 60 acres, that's enough for them to get water as long as they can get water somewhere on here?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Okay.
Absolutely. And just know that, if you can get water, okay, to multiple places. So like, let's say up here in this right-hand corner, you guys look at putting in some sort of liner in that tank, and it actually does capture seasonal water. And then you've got, maybe a solar powered windmill or something like that over here somewhere. You're going to attract a lot of deer onto your property. But if you can give them a majority of what they want, Joseph, there is a good chance that they'll go for water and they could come back. Now, of course, by doing that, they could get ambushed by a predator or potentially shot by a hunter. So, you want to try to give them everything you can, but at least hitting a few of the high points, I think is really good.
Okay.
With that being said, Joseph, I do think you do have an opportunity to provide some water for some of your deer, and you'd have to see how it kind of works out. But by virtue of the fact that you said you have a well, here at your here at that camp, and I don't know what all it would take, but on the Rancho Bandito, we've got wells, that feed multiple stock tanks, and they go sometimes several thousand yards. So it may take some work and a trencher, and that you could get you're going to get hot, okay, but you may be able to run some pipe, from one of your wells. Obviously, have it underground so the critters don't chew it up, and if it ever freezes, they won't bust. But you may be able to put up a trough, maybe right there at the yellow corner right there, right near a sendero. Water your cows and water your deer. Who knows?
Right. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm following.
So something else that we highly recommend is, obviously you've got your corn feeders, you got your deer blinds, but we're also going to highly recommend that you look at providing protein for your deer. Now, that being said, South Texas, as you know, they a lot of big deer. Okay, there's a lot of natural groceries down there that's really good for them. And as you start to create some more of these senderos, like I said, up there at the football field, wheat field, for the dove and quail, is maybe you put some winter wheat in there, something of that nature. You're going to start offering a lot more groceries. That's just going to do nothing but enhance, the antler quality on these animals and the body quality. But something that we really recommend is adding some sort of free choice protein feeder. Okay. And kind of the general rule that I've always heard is you need one, per every 300 acres, something of that nature. Now, we don't necessarily, at Rancho Bandito, we don't necessarily follow that. In fact, I can tell you, I've got like 7 on 900 acres, so we're definitely not following that. But I think on your property here, Joseph, you could easily look at, putting maybe 3 of those up. And my advice is just to get them full of deer protein pellets, 20% crude protein deer pellets, starting in January. Okay. And then for you guys, you can really, stop that in September. And obviously the goal is with those protein pellets, starting in January, you're getting your bucks back up to speed. Okay. As far as their weight is concerned, they've run a lot during the rut. Obviously it's going to help with antler growth significantly. Not that you guys need much help, okay, because you got some big deer, but something else a lot of folks don't think about is the fact that the does helps with lactation. So obviously it's going to lead to healthier fawns, overall a better a better deer herd. And I also think it's going to make your place a hell of a lot more attractive. You're going to have animals coming. If nobody else is feeding protein around you, Joseph, they're going to seek you out. They're going to find you, and you're going to be kind of the metropolis, if you will.
Did you say, I didn't quite catch, did you say the method by which that protein should be administered? Is it another like a time feeder or?
Yeah, so there's a couple of different ways you can do it. So typically during the season, you're gonna, most Texas hunters will hunt over, what we call spinning feeders. Okay, so they're the feeders that throw corn. You can set them for different times during the day, which typically at Rancho Bandito we do once in the morning, once in the evening. Okay.
Except Gonzalez.
Yeah, right. We feed the protein pellets, okay? We feed them out of what's called a gravity feeder. And so a gravity feeder or a free choice feeder just allows the deer to come up whenever they please, and they can take protein pellets out of it, and then they're in good shape. So there's really no timed release. Now, they do make protein feeders that do have a timed release, but I know some guys that swear by them. They love them, but at Bandito we typically just kind of, it's just a gravity feeder. They just come up and feed out of it whenever they like.
If you are interested in time release, though, remember we did talk to Mike with the hammer feeding system.
Yep, definitely.
So we very interesting system that they have over there. So if you're interested in that, we can send you that information as well.
I am. Yeah, I would. I would be very interested in because it's bare bones right now.
Okay. Excellent. Yeah. Absolutely.
So it's a blank canvas. That's good.
I love it. Yeah. No, that's great.
Yeah, start from the ground up and do exactly what you want to do. So that's awesome.
Is the twice a day feeding year round?
It's a great question. So typically, what a lot of folks do, okay, well, answer me this, Joseph. You guys have javelina, correct? You've seen some, maybe?
We have a boatload of hog. I don't know if you know what? There is javelina. There is.
Okay.
I've seen them on the side of the road.
Yeah, I figured you guys would have some. Okay, so you just my next question is, do you have hogs? So let me kind of answer that question. It's kind of multi-step there. A lot of folks will feed year round, okay, and so they'll have it go off once in the morning, once in the evening, and obviously that goes through deer season. They can hunt turkeys over them, okay, but the other thing is they hunt pigs over them, okay, they hunt hogs over them. And so obviously that's a lot of fun. That we always rant and rave about how great Texas is for obvious reasons, but the fact that we can shoot just about anything any time of year is one of the things we love about it. And so having feeding year round, feeding corn year round and whatnot is a great way to keep hold animals on your property, and also you can get after those hogs by doing that as well. So. A lot of people do that, but and then there's some people that protein feed year round through the gravity feeders. At Rancho Bandito, we typically don't. We start in January, post rut when it's cold, air quotes when it's cold, and then we stop typically in September. In fact, we just kind of pulled the plug the other day, and they were not happy. Yeah.
Okay. And the water, obviously, the water is year round. You try and leave the troughs or the whatever water you have.
Yes,
they should be full year round.
Absolutely. When you Joseph, when you think about your quarry, okay, your target animals, you got to think about. You got to think about the things that make them tick, just like us. It's food, water, cover, shelter for quail, flushing cover, and if you can hit a lot of those different factors with what you've got here, you can, and I think you certainly can do that. I think you're going to have a hell of a place, my friend. I really do.
Cool. Do you guys know anybody or know any research on? I really do think I'm going to have to tarp that tank if we want to hold water.
Right.
Do you guys have any research on that?
I do. I am. I spend many a night, in fact, to the point where I am sitting here staring at my phone and it falls on my face and destroys the bridge of my nose because I'm falling asleep reading stuff. I certainly do, and we will email you some of the resources that we use. But something I did want to point out is that the county extension, okay, the county extension for your county is a phenomenal resource to talk to about wildlife management, cattle management, things of that nature. And in some cases, my friend, they will actually do a cost sharing program with you. Okay. So I will send you information on that because that is that's tremendous. Basically, what they'll do is, Joseph, they'll kind of talk to you like we are right now, and they'll talk about your goals, but they'll actually go out there with you and they'll say, okay, what do you think right here? And sometimes they'll split the cost with you when it comes to brush management, things of that nature. So that is a fantastic resource. So we will definitely, I'll get you information on that for sure.
Awesome. Okay, awesome.
Excellent. So yeah, we'll, and I'll get you some information on the water as well. Because that's a big deal. And I'll tell you, my friend, if you can get water, to hold in there, even semi-seasonally, you've really hit it big. And again, just kind of looking at this map, it looks like that's what they tried. Yeah, for sure.
What might be interesting is get back on Google Earth and zoom out and look around and see if you can see where the closest water is, and you kind of have an idea what you might be competing against too.
That's a great
there may not be much around you, so if you do it there, it goes to what Richard was saying. You're going to be the central locus of everything wanting to go to water. You're going to have them on your property. So.
Yep.
Yeah, I hear you. Okay, yeah, that'd be awesome.
Excellent, my friend. Well, anything else you'd like to ask or discuss?
No, gosh, that was awesome. That was really, really good, and just super appreciative of you taking the time to do this with me. This was a lot of fun and very helpful.
Oh my God! Hey, let me tell you, my friend, I had a really crappy Tuesday. This just made my day. I appreciate it. It was fun, man. It was fun. I mean, as Jimmy really hit it on the head. You've got a clean slate here, and it's fun. It's fun to see things. To see the changes you make, and it's going to take a little bit, but man, it's so rewarding. It's really cool. So good luck to you, my friend, and keep us posted, please.
Yeah. I was going to say, you don't hesitate to reach out again. Again, if you have any questions at all about anything, and yes, please keep us posted. Send us some pics on how things are going, and let us know. What you ended up doing.
Okay, absolutely, I will. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. Appreciate all your help. All right, well, thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it. Take care of yourselves.
All right, Joseph. Take care, buddy.
All right, that was great. Thank you, Joseph, for coming on the Feed Bandit podcast. We really appreciate it. And as we were saying at the end, please let us know how the progress goes. We'd love to update all the other listeners out there on how it goes, and especially if you start taking some animals off the property, please send us those pics.
Absolutely.
Putting in the blood, sweat, and tears, and then being able to pull that animal off. I would venture to guess that after he does all this work, and he pulls that that first kind of trophy, whatever it may be, pulls it off the property, puts it on his wall, it'll be that much more sweet. After buying. A piece of land like this that's raw, right, and transforming it into an awesome hunting place.
Yep, absolutely. It's like a outdoor Home Depot ad, where it shows the guy in there with his flannel shirt on, and which never happens, and pulls out a can of paint, and then everything's fixed magically. Well, it's kind of like that, but a hell of a lot longer and a lot more sweat and thorns and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now that was so cool to be able to talk to a listener like that. We've done many emails, answer questions like that, but to actually be able to speak to somebody live like that was a lot of fun. And I'd love to do it again. Absolutely love to do it again. So
yeah, totally. We like Richard said, we'd love to do it again. So if anyone out there would be interested in coming on and talking to us,
yep.
Asking any question you may have, we'll give you our honest opinion on the subject. Please email us. howdy@feedbandit.com is the email address.
Right.
Just shoot us an email and we'll get back with you and we'll arrange it.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter where your place is, and whether it's your own property or your grandfather's, or if it's a lease. And it really, the deer, quail, turkey, dove, they all kind of have the same requirements, despite what zip code you're in. So, it was a lot of fun. Now where Joseph's place is there in South Texas, I forgot to ask if he's got any nail guy. He's getting close to that area. God, that would be really cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So anyway,
well,
he'll know when he sees them. He's like, "What is that thing?"
Yeah, ask him when we send him that information that we said we're going to send him, and try to get some good picks from him.
And if he says yes, but like, okay, well, good to know. Good to know. Don't touch him. Call me. And we'll come down. We'll take care of him for you. Very bad.
Right. Another thing we did, I don't believe was mentioned, was telling them, or reminding them, hey, don't forget to put out game cameras. So you can truly see what's kind of, there right now.
Yeah,
so
that's a 101 mistake right there.
you forgetting to tell them?
Yeah. Like, wow.
Well, he's gonna listen, I'm sure.
Yeah,
so Joseph, remember, put out some game cameras, and you don't need to wait, to get your blinds and feeders set up. Go to those spots that Richard was talking about and pointing out would be great spots, and go ahead and put one out and see what's walking through there. And that'll give you a good idea.
Agreed, absolutely. That was a hell of a lot of fun. I really liked it, and I really was having a pretty crappy day. So this has been good. It's been the cherry on top in a good way.
There you go. Now you can go home, go to sleep with a smile on your face instead of a frown.
Big time, yeah.
All right. You got anything else?
That's it, my friend. As rifle season opens up in a couple of weeks here in Texas. So the general rifle season, that is. So, ladies and gentlemen, get your firearms ready.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God. Here they come. 12 o'clock deer dance. If we can get that guy on here, we won't go into detail who that guy is. I'll be honest, I don't know if he's living anymore, but
probably not. All right. Well, folks, thanks again for listening. I want to thank our listeners that have been around a while. Thank you, as always, for continuing to listen to the podcast, and welcome to all the new listeners that have joined. If this is your first podcast, thanks for joining. We really appreciate it. We'll strive to bring you more and more good stuff going forward in the future. One thing I do want to point out that's new, at least on the website, is we have now Feed Bandit logo gear. So any of you guys out there that are that love the show, you want to wear some Feed Bandit gear. Also show your support for helping to preserve small town Texas hunting culture and supporting your feed stores. Then please go on to feedbandit.com. You can see it right there, Bandit Gear and Services. You'll be able to go from there and see the gear that we have available there. Everything from shirts, sweatshirts, coffee mugs, stickers, all that type of stuff is all available there. So if you're interested, get you some gear and help support the show that way. So we'd really appreciate it. So check it out. We're excited that that's now available. So other than that, I don't have anything else either, other than to say to everyone out there, thanks for listening again, and we will catch you on the next episode of the Feed Bandit Podcast. Take care.
Thanks for listening to the Feed Bandit Podcast. If you like what we discuss on the show, be sure to sign up to our email list to get even more killer hunting ideas, tips, tricks, and exclusive deals on innovative hunting gear and services delivered straight to your inbox. Sign up over at feedbandit.com or simply by texting the word bandit to 33777. See you on the next one, and remember, support your local feed store.